Welcome to CareyBrosPros, the podcast for construction pros by construction pros. Now, here are James and Morris Carey.
So good to have you with us for another episode of CareyBrosPros. I'm James Carey, and Brother Morris is away for this episode, but worry not, because I have both hands tied behind my back and have been hobbled by our trusty producer, Captain Dan. But that won't stop me from spreading pro information that you can utilize in your business. And you're in luck, because no matter what field you're in, it can be a struggle to stay up to date on the latest techniques, trends, studies, and improvements in your professional arena. But that's why you have us. And that's also why we've invited our guest for this episode. He's Patrick Adams, the president and publisher of 526 Media Group. They're the publishers of lumber and building materials industries titles such as Deck Specialist, Building Products Digest, and, of course, Merchant Magazine, and building-products.com. Patrick, welcome to CareyBrosPros.
James, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I have to tell you that we have had the opportunity to see one another at industry events for many, many years, and now Brother Morris and I, of course, have the distinct honor of having a column in Deck Specialist magazine. But share with our audience a little bit about the history of your publications. These are really heritage brands. And unlike, Martha Stewart Living and Oprah's magazine, your publications have been around for eons, but are as relevant today as they were when they were first published.
Well, I appreciate you sharing us in the same company as a felon and a billionaire mogul. It's flattering to say the least. But, we are honored to serve the lumber and building materials construction industry. The company was founded back in 1922, back in the old school days where journalism was kind of a heralded profession.
Yeah.
Long before the days of, digital or social media or fake news or anything else. And,
right.
From that history, we still kind of stay true to our roots, and that is that service mentality. So if you just think about it in the sense quickly of medicine or science or engineering, those industries all have journals and trade magazines that literally those people count on to become educated in the latest news, the latest findings, the latest practices and procedures that literally save lives. And that's the credibility that goes along with the role of those publishers. Well, every industry used to have publications like that. And, now things have changed a little bit in the world of publishing, but we still hold that same bar of responsibility and credibility in serving the industry. A good way to look at it is just in this noisy world of news and news feeds and social media and everything, we're the ones that do the heavy lifting to boil it all down to the most important things that can positively impact your trade.
So is it Building Products Digest that has been around the 90-plus years?
Merchant Magazine actually was the first publication, and it was originally started as a publication called The Lumber Merchant. If you're an old guy like me, you know what a merchant is, and that used to be, just a man that sold things.
Right.
So these focused on the supply chain of people that milled and sold lumber to tradesmen. And it was kind of the main source of news in the industry. There really was nothing else at that time. And then, obviously, as time has gone on, we've branched out and serve other verticals within the industry.
So, Patrick, when did Building Products Digest come about?
That came about as we expanded east, and it came about in the early 80s. Mm-hmm. And then, we've gone digital as well during that time and have websites and newsletters and things like that. And then Deck Specialist is our newest magazine that actually goes directly to builders and contractors.
Boy, and you talk about a category where there is a lot to talk about. You think, well, how much can you talk about in a very narrow category like decking? Well, my gosh, there is so much. We're talking about structure. We're talking about finish. We're talking about safety. We're talking about railings. We're talking about lighting. We talk about fasteners. I mean, there is so much to talk about as regards to decking. So here's what I want to know. I want to know, you're not 90 years old. I know you, and you're a young fella with lots of energy and ambition, with a terrific moral compass and a great set of values and ethics. And I can say that because I know you, and I want to say that so that our pros listening will understand who you are and that they will buy in to what you have to offer and share it with those who can value from it as well. But I know you're not 90 years old. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this. Do you have any background in building? Is it journalism or publishing or both?
No, I was a business guy. I was raised in a pretty tough neighborhood and always aspired for more, worked hard, worked my way up through corporate America. And, it's kind of one of those stories, as they say, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it.
Oh, come on now. Wait a minute, Patrick. Beverly Hills is not, 90210 isn't a tough neighborhood, baby.
Oh, well, I probably lived, whatever was on the other side of the tracks from that is kind of where I grew up.
Okay, but, all right. It wasn't Beverly Hills, huh? It wasn't 90210.
No,
okay.
No, I didn't know that zip code. But I've had a blessed life, definitely moved up, through corporate America, did very well, but just kind of found that it became a very soulless business, and it was very focused just on spreadsheets and numbers and very little on people and values and actually providing value. My wife jokes that my version of a midlife crisis, instead of buying a convertible Corvette and having an affair, was buying a almost 100-year-old publishing company. And it was one of the best decisions we've made. We're an amazing team. We still do things kind of the old school way. We certainly leverage modern technology.
I love the fact that you do that. I love it. I just love it.
Well, we personally attend almost 100 industry events a year. So my guys are on the road, in the trenches, meeting our readers and our advertisers and our columnists all face to face to actually get that news and to see firsthand, whether it's the real deal or whether it's BS. We believe that every word, every advertiser, every new product review that we publish in our pages, we kind of take it personally that we're personally vouching for that to our readership. So we've got to put in, the effort and put the boots on the ground to actually go out there, do the work, and find out if this stuff really is the real deal.
So for our pros listening, and you've touched a little bit on this already, Patrick, but with all that they have coming at them, information, we know that you offer the print version, which, by the way, I love very much, and we know that you have digital versions as well. Why should they take time to read an industry magazine or journal, whether it's yours or whether it's another that covers a completely different category within the building industry? Why is that important?
Yeah. I think it's a good question, and I think that, it's easy for us guys, especially.
I only ask good questions, by the way. You should really know that about me. I only ask good questions.
There's no question. Hopefully you won't stump me here, but
okay.
I just believe that we're born with a certain set of DNA, and one of those is confidence. And I think we believe we're confident. We know what we're doing. We know how to do what we do. This is our job, our craft. But if you think about it from some of those that are the greatest in anything, the greatest athletes, the greatest scientists, the greatest, doctors, they're spending an inordinate amount of their time actually training and studying and researching. They're constantly learning so that then with that small fraction of time that they're actually expected to perform, they can perform at their highest level. And I think that, too many times an old friend of mine who's passed away gave me a quote, and I think about it a lot. He says, too many times we focus on what's urgent and not important.
Say that one more time.
Too many times we focus on what's urgent but not important.
Wow.
And, it weighs on me, and I think it's become a good barometer of how I spend my time. And I think that a lot of times we come home at the end of the day as men exhausted, and we think, hey, I did really good today. But it's kind of that old working hard versus working smart analogy as well. And I think that investing time to learn what competitors are doing right, what new products can help you work smarter, what new techniques will provide for a longer lasting or safer end product for your clients, all these things are very, very worthy investments that are going to benefit your business in the long run.
Absolutely. Okay, you and David and Chuck and your team have your boots on the ground. As you indicated, you're going to industry events all over the country throughout the entire year, and we've had the great pleasure of being photographed. Always Chuck with the camera in hand. You too. Always Chuck with the camera in hand. Oh, come on, let me get your picture. And it's so fun to open your magazine, whether it's the digital version or the hard copy, and to see our photograph. I'll never grow tired of that, and I'm going to guess that we're in the majority of folks that enjoy seeing their picture.
Well, it's true. We all work hard, and it's largely a pretty thankless job. Like I said, we all have egos, and we all like our 2 seconds of fame, and we're happy to provide it.
All right. Now, with the frequent trips to all of these shows, you see a lot of trends that are picking up steam. What trends do you see, Patrick, in the industry that will eventually impact our businesses and the businesses of our pro listeners?
Well, I think, there's a lot depending on the segments. We're an industry that certainly has the well-earned reputation for not changing very much. So I know when I entered the industry, somebody joked and said, the biggest innovation this industry's made in 100 years is the pneumatic nailer. Other than that, everything else is the same. And on the surface, that may appear true, but I think that because of the shortage of labor that our industry is experiencing top to bottom, it's forcing a lot of innovation. That also combined with, building code and, just innovation within the safety side of things. When you're talking about remodeling structures, you're dealing with a lot of sins of the past that you're invading when you're, moving walls, you're moving load-bearing walls and putting up, support beams and trusses and whatnot to, renovate and modernize those areas. And then certainly when you're going outside, it's easy to get a little bit lax and kind of say, hey, this is just a deck that's 6 inches off the ground until you notice that family has kids and they have pets. And, you can imagine family parties with 50 people out there on that deck, maybe dancing to grandma's birthday.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, our job takes on a different meaning, hopefully. So I think that on the new building side and large-scale remodeling, you're going to start seeing a lot of in-shop modularization. So rather than actually cutting and framing and doing a lot of things on-site, you're going to start seeing people kind of looking to economize, build more efficiency within their workflow, building more things off-site within a more controlled environment. And then also I think you're going to see maybe not, building code to a small degree, but I just think the rigor of high quality building. I think the recession cleaned house on a lot of mediocre tradesmen, and the strong survived. I think that's given the opportunity to raise prices, to raise margins, which I'm always a firm believer in, but that's also translated to a higher quality standard that homeowners expect when they're investing money in these upgrades.
Well said. Okay. So what articles or topics have you found that get the most response from your readers, Patrick? I'm curious to know. What seems to resonate with the readers?